In quiet neighborhoods, power goes wrong.
The sound that shattered my life wasn't loud. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a gunshot echoing through the street. It was my daughter whispering my name. Daddy. I can't feel my legs. That sentence broke something inside me that years of combat, training, and war never could. I dropped everything and ran. I was halfway through a routine security briefing at the port when my phone started vibrating nonstop. I ignored it at first, old habits from the teens die hard. But when I glanced down and saw 8 missed calls from our neighbor, my chest tightened. Then the text came. Come now. HOA woman shot your daughter. My chair scraped back so hard it hit the wall. I didn't remember grabbing my keys. I didn't remember driving. I only remember one thought pounding in my head again and again. Please be alive. Please be alive. My daughter, Lily, was 13. She was born with a neuromuscular condition that weakened her legs. Some days she could walk with braces. Other days she needed crutches or a wheelchair. But she never complained. She loved drawing sea animals, hated loud noises, and waved at everyone like the world was still a good place. We moved into that neighborhood because it was quiet. Safe. Or so I thought. The HOA rules were strict, too strict, but I didn't care. I'd survived war zones. I could survive paperwork. What I couldn't survive was ignorance mixed with entitlement. Her name was Brenda Collins, president of the HOA. Late 40s. Perfect lawn. Permanent scowl. She had already complained about Lily's wheelchair ramps. They ruined the aesthetic, she said once. I told her they were medically necessary. She smiled like a shark and replied, "We'll see about that." That was the moment I should have pushed back harder. That afternoon, Lily was outside chalk drawing on the sidewalk in front of our house. Our neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, was watching her while my wife was at work. Brenda stormed out of her house holding a stack of papers. She started yelling about HOA violations. Sidewalk obstruction. Unauthorized use of mobility aids. Community safety concerns. My daughter didn't even understand what she was saying. According to witnesses, Brenda demanded Lily move immediately. Lily tried. She slipped. Her crutches fell. She started crying. And that's when Brenda lost control. No warning. No justification. Brenda pulled a firearm she claimed was for neighborhood safety. She fired once, not into the air. Not at a wall. Toward my child. The bullet struck the ground near Lily's legs. Shrapnel and impact caused catastrophic injury to her already fragile limbs. People screamed. Someone tackled Brenda. Lily collapsed. Police cars. Ambulance. Red and blue lights everywhere. I pushed past officers before anyone recognized me. When I saw Lily on the stretcher, oxygen mask on her face, tears soaking her hair, my knees almost gave out. "Daddy," she whispered. "I'm here, baby. I'm here." Her legs were immobilized. I asked the medic one question. "Will she walk again?" He didn't answer. That silence was worse than any gunshot. As they led Brenda away in handcuffs, she wasn't crying. She wasn't panicking. She was smirking. She looked straight at me and said, "She shouldn't have been out there. HOA rules exist for a reason." That's when I realized something terrifying. She thought she was right. She thought she'd get away with it. And she had no idea who she had just crossed. I wasn't just a quiet dad who kept to himself. I wasn't just a guy who avoided neighborhood meetings. I was a United States Navy SEAL with 20 years of service, trained to observe, document, and dismantle threats legally and surgically. And from that moment on, I made one promise to myself. I would not let this be buried. I would not let this be minimized. and I would not let my daughter's pain be ignored. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and fear. I'd been in combat zones where the air reeked of smoke and blood, but nothing prepared me for sitting beside my child's hospital bed, watching machines do the work her body struggled to do on its own. Lily was unconscious when they took her into imaging. My wife arrived 20 minutes later, still wearing her work badge, her face drained of all color when she saw the police officers outside the room. "She's alive," I said quickly. That was all she needed to hear before breaking down in my arms. Brenda's attorney showed up before the sun went down. That alone told me everything. By the time detectives finished their initial report, a narrative was already being pushed. The firearm accidentally discharged. Lily was in violation of HOA safety rules. Brenda felt threatened. The injury was unfortunate but unintended. I watched the detective's jaw tighten as he read it. He knew it was nonsense. But HOA boards have money. And money likes to talk. They didn't count on one thing. People saw everything. Mrs. Alvarez gave her statement first, calm, clear, unshakable. She told that child to move. When she couldn't, Brenda called her a liability. Then came the fast food worker from across the street. I heard shouting. Then a gunshot. That woman wasn't scared, she was angry. Even a teenage delivery driver submitted dashcam footage showing Brenda pointing the weapon downward. Not at the sky. Not away. Down. That night, the HOA board held an emergency session. Without me. Without my wife. They voted to suspend my family's HOA privileges. Issue a violation notice for causing public disturbance. Release a statement claiming Brenda acted within community guidelines. That was their mistake. Because every email, every vote, every word was recorded. And I had friends who knew how to read between lines. The story leaked the next morning. Not from us. From a nurse who couldn't stay silent. HOA president shoots disabled child during dispute. The headline spread faster than Brenda's excuses. By noon, reporters were camped outside the hospital. By evening, the HOA website was taken offline. By midnight, the district attorney announced a formal review. Instead of apologizing, Brenda went on record. She stood in front of cameras and said, "I feared for my safety." The child moved suddenly. "I regret the outcome, but I followed protocol." Protocol. About a child with crutches. The comments section exploded. At 2:14 a.m., a detective knocked on our hospital room door. He didn't speak at first. He just handed me a tablet. Security footage from a nearby restaurant. Clear angle. Clear audio. Brenda's voice, sharp and loud. "You don't belong out here. People like you make this neighborhood unsafe." Then the sound. One shot. Then screaming. The detective swallowed hard. "This isn't negligence," he said quietly. "This is intent." By morning, the charges were upgraded. Aggravated assault. Use of a firearm causing bodily injury. Abuse of authority. Reckless endangerment of a minor. Brenda was denied bail. The HOA board resigned within hours. And still, Lily hadn't woken up. Until then, I hadn't told anyone who I was. Not because I was hiding. But because this wasn't about me. That changed when a reporter asked, "Why are you so calm?" I looked straight into the camera. "I've trained my whole life to stay calm in chaos," I said. "But this isn't a battlefield." I paused. "This is my daughter." By that evening, the truth was public. Disabled child. HOA president. Navy SEAL father. The pressure became unbearable. At 6:43 p.m., Lily squeezed my finger. "Daddy?" I leaned forward so fast my chair tipped over. "I'm here." Her voice was weak, but clear. She was mad at me. I tried. I swallowed the rage that threatened to tear me apart. You did nothing wrong, I said. Nothing. She thought this was about power. About rules. About control. She didn't realize something far more dangerous had been activated. Truth. And truth doesn't need muscle. It just needs time. The courtroom was silent in a way that felt heavier than any battlefield I'd ever stood on. 12 jurors sat frozen. The judge leaned forward. Even the reporters stopped typing. Because the video had just finished playing. And there was no spinning it. The restaurant security footage ran in real time. Brenda's voice echoed through the courtroom speakers, sharp, irritated, unmistakable. I told you people not to loiter here. My daughter's small voice followed. I can't move fast. I'm trying. Then Brenda stepped closer. Not back. Not away. Closer. The prosecutor paused the video. Let the record reflect, he said calmly, that the defendant advanced toward a disabled minor. He hit play again. The jury flinched at the sound. Not because it was loud. Because they knew what it meant. Her attorney stood up fast. Objection. The judge cut him off. Sit down. That was the moment Brenda's face changed. Not fear. Realization. Her entire defense was built on one lie, that she was threatened. But the tape showed something else. Control. Anger. Entitlement. The KFC manager testified next. She wasn't aggressive, he said, pointing to the screen. The child was scared. Brenda was furious. Then the paramedic. If we had arrived 30 seconds later, he said quietly, the outcome could have been fatal. Even the responding officer took the stand. She never asked if the child was okay, he said. She asked if we knew who she was. The jury didn't miss that. I hadn't planned to testify. But Lily asked me to. So I stood. Not as a Navy SEAL. Not as a symbol. Just as a father. My daughter learned to walk twice, I said. She learned to trust people again after hospitals, surgeries, and pain. I swallowed. She did not deserve to learn fear from an adult with power. I looked directly at Brenda. You didn't see a child, I said. You saw an inconvenience. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. When they returned, Brenda couldn't stop shaking. The foreman stood. On the charge of aggravated assault of a disabled minor. Guilty. On the charge of reckless endangerment. Guilty. On the charge of abuse of authority. Guilty. Brenda collapsed into her chair. The HOA president who once barked orders couldn't even stand. The judge didn't rush. He read every impact statement. Doctors. Teachers. Neighbors. And finally, Lily's. She didn't read it. She looked up and said softly, I just wanted chicken. The courtroom broke. The judge cleared his throat. Ms. Brenda, he said, you mistook authority for ownership. He sentenced her to prison. No early release. No plea reduction. The HOA dissolved within a week. The city passed new emergency access laws. The restaurant installed disability signage in Lily's name. And my daughter? She healed. Slowly. Bravely. Weeks later, we returned to that same KFC. Lily walked in on her crutches. People recognized her. They clapped. Not loudly. Respectfully. She smiled at me. Daddy, she said, she doesn't get to hurt anyone else now, right? I knelt beside her. No, I said. She doesn't. This was never about a uniform. Or a title. Or revenge. It was about what happens when people forget that rules never matter more than lives. And what happens when someone finally says, Enough.